Okay, for this week, I'm going to take us through my initial cut at the first phase of the trip, which is, as it's set here, is about 27 driving hours and about 1,460 miles. And I'm approaching it this way with a thought that if I'm leaving out in mid-June, I've got two choices. I could either kind of go across the north first and come back through the southern states, or go kind of get the southern states, although it's going to be hot, and then circle back and come back the northern route in August and September. Now, I haven't quite made a final decision, and the route is circular to the house. And so it's not going to make that much of a difference ultimately. But I'm going to start with the initial plan, which was to go out of here to the south with the thought process that I've got Alex's graduation here in the Seattle area as one of the stops. So I've got leaving out of Anacortes. The first stop that I've got is North Cascades National Park. Now, this would be the first national park on the list. It's one that Alex and I went through last year. We actually drove this route through to Mazama, Winthrop, and kind of stayed out in this area when we were camping last year. But this would be one. The first national park that I would stop at would be North Cascades. This is, not that far. It's probably an hour and a half to get out to North Cascades, about 70 miles. And we would, or I would, spend some time out in North Cascades National Park. I have not done a lot of time out there. It's so close, and yet I really haven't visited it at all. But then I would head out of North Cascades National Park, probably spending a day there, head down into the Seattle area, go to Alex's graduation, which is right in this area here, be down there for that. And then the thought process is I would be then rolling down to Mount Rainier National Park that next day. So Mount Rainier National Park is about 200 miles from North Cascades National Park to Mount Rainier National Park. It's about a 3.5 hour drive. And I've been to Mount Rainier National Park before, and would anticipate, if it weren't for wanting to make sure I was at my daughter's graduation, this would be probably a one day. I would hit North Cascades, spend half a day there, then get into Mount Rainier, camp overnight there, spend half a day at Mount Rainier at the beginning of the day, and then roll out. The thought process then is kind of rolling south on I-5 and get to the Fort Vancouver Visitor Center, which is about 2 hours from Mount Rainier, about 120 miles. And on the way, there's actually right in this area here is Mount St. Helens. So there may be a diversion out to Mount St. Helens. Haven't quite made that determination yet, but it kind of depends on this initial launch phase and what the timing looks like for graduation time, and if I have family coming out. It might be that I have family coming out, we go to graduation, then I kick off late after graduation, so that may also impact whether I go north-south first. But hit Fort Vancouver Visitor Center on the way, take a look at that. That's a national monument. And then the next major stop is actually down at Crater Lake National Park. So I would essentially go from Mount Rainier National Park to Crater Lake National Park, kind of rolling down there. That distance from Crater Lake, or from Mount Rainier to Crater Lake through Fort Vancouver, is about 7 hours. It's about 400 miles in total. And I would like to spend half a day to a day at Crater Lake. We visited Crater Lake when I was a kid with my parents. Thought it was beautiful. Thought it was really cool. Really cool setup. And would love to spend a little bit of time there. And it's on the national park list, so it's going to get hit. After that, the plan is to leave Crater Lake and then roll out to Redwood National Park, which is out here in the Crescent City area, and spend a little bit of time out at Redwood National Park. That's about 3 hours from Crater Lake, about 155 miles. So get out here and spend some time. Again, I think we've got the opportunity to, and you can see it's right here on the map. But I think the visitor center starts up here in Crescent City. There's an opportunity to really see a lot on the way, and most of these national and state parks are pretty accessible with just normal car. So while I'm planning to take the Jeep, this isn't something that couldn't be done, you know, by anybody with any reliable vehicle. And a lot of what you can see, you don't necessarily need to be hiking, climbing. You're able to see it, a lot of it, from relatively easily accessible trails. So I'd be going from Redwood National Park over to Lassen Volcanic National Park, which is over here. Never been there. It goes near Mount Shasta, and so then you can see Shasta Lake and Shasta, California. So would essentially be going from this area here, over, and this has me routed back up through, kind of headed back north to come south. It may make sense, to come down 101 and then cut over here, and I'll, kind of cut that. I'll make that as we kind of get closer, and we start dialing in specific states, times, reservations, etc. But right now it would be, Redwood National Park to Lassen Volcanic National Park. The way the current map has me going, that trip would be about 315 miles, about 6 hours to get from here to here. And I really don't know what I'd be finding here at Lassen National Park, Lassen National Forest, Shasta. So again, never really spent any time here either. So looking forward to that kind of new area, and then the next hop, and the last hop that we'll talk about for this particular video, takes us out of Lassen and runs us down essentially through Sacramento, out to Yosemite. And again, there's a couple spots here that I may want to stop. So Julia, my daughter, is a big fan of Weed, California. She got stuck there for like 4 days when she hit a deer, and got her car fixed. So I'll probably have to just stop and take pictures of Weed for her. The city, not the smoking stuff. But I would roll through Sacramento and then down to Yosemite. The trip from Lassen to Yosemite is showing at about 325 miles, about 6 hours and 15 minutes. Fairly decent one day hop. So if I took these kind of in the way I would think of doing it, if I weren't, kind of stopping for anything in the Seattle area, and again, haven't quite set that timeline, so it may be that I leave out after that, especially if I have family come in. Is day one would be leaving home, hitting North Cascades National Park, and then coming down to Mount Rainier, and spending the night in Mount Rainier, and then day two of this would be leaving Mount Rainier, making a stop at Fort Vancouver, and then heading into Crater Lake, And so Crater Lake would be day 2. Spend some time at Crater Lake, and then day 3 would be heading out to Redwood National Park, and that's about 3.5 hours. So I'd spend probably half a day here, drive out to Redwood National Park. I assume that there's going to be a fairly decent, kind of driving area, etc. Make my way, so that would be day 3. So day 2, Crater Lake. Day 3, Redwood. Day 4 would be out to Lassen from there, and then day 5 would be a long travel day, probably about 8 hours, effectively 8 hours of drive time to get me into Yosemite. So days 1 through 5 on the trip, as it would currently be planned, would be day 1, Anacortes to North Cascades to Mount Rainier. Day 2, Mount Rainier through Fort Vancouver to Crater Lake. Day 3, Redwood National Park. Day 4, Lassen Volcanic National Park. And day 5, Yosemite.